Thank you so much for coming today. It is Saturday morning, it's early, and you are actually starting school when? On Monday morning. And here you sit, so thank you so much for being here. We are extremely excited to be here. Where is my partner in crime?
She went to ASC.
She did what?
She'll be back in a second. She went to
Okay. I had a wonderful opportunity the other day to meet over 400 artists and art teachers and music teachers and dance and chorus and band and you name it. I had the opportunity, and I began my 5 minutes that morning letting folks know why I left CMS after 18 years. A big reason is I really haven't left. This is a partnership between CMS and the Arts and Science Council. It doesn't get much better than that. When I heard about this opportunity where I could still be working with all my friends and colleagues in CMS and doing nothing every day but making connections with the cultural sector, which includes the arts, science, and history, making connections between that sector and CMS needs that are directly aligned to the Common Core and Essential Standards, I'm like, wow, what a cool gig. And not to mention the second reason that I said yes is because I really believe that the arts are a mediational tool for students. The arts build an experience. They build that connector, that mediation tool between the community, the home life, their culture there, and when they come to school and they enter our school culture, the arts can be that connector. So I'm very happy to be where I am. A year ago, our team did not exist, and you saw us stand this morning. Mel is my program director right now. I have to tell you, we have to give a round of applause for Mel for putting this together. Yes. So, in good education ease, I'm going to do the CUD. What are you going to know, understand, and be able to do by the time we finish our session in 75 minutes? Number one, you're going to know that there's an ASC and CMS partnership. Woo! Next, what are you going to understand today? The grant history, briefly. For the last 3 years, the grants that have been given out, I mean, there's been the same pot of money, and schools competed to get the same pot of money. And what we did when we analyzed the data is that we saw that the same schools, not the same schools, 159, the same schools were going for the same amount of money and using the same organizations and the same teachers. And so we took a really close look at that, and while that was great and wonderful work happening, we're like, wow, if it's wonderful on that level, what would happen if we open the doors wide and we made a strategic, intentional decision to get to each of the 159 schools? Say amen if you think that's a good idea. Good idea. Yeah, so what we're doing this year, and why it's so important you're here, is because this is the first time we've done it. We're modeling it after Wake County, as we're doing it for 30 years, but for you all to understand exactly how the process works, why you've got us right here, we can answer the questions. That's why today's so important, because today we're going to help you. My partner, we're going to, she is wonderful.
What am I doing?
Getting to the do, because today we need to teach you how to do what? To access the directory, book your providers, complete your spending plan and contracts, prepare for the providers when they show up, and evaluate the program. So all those dues that you're going to be doing, we need to help you understand how to do that today. So Mel and I are a great team together. We're going to tag throughout the 75 minutes so you don't have just one talking head. So that's what we're going to know, understand, be able to do today. So,
Yeah.
now it's time to book those wonderful people that are upstairs. 50 plus providers are upstairs on the 9th floor. They have traveled from around the state to be here. So what do you do with them? Besides introduce yourself. How do you get them into your school? You're it.
All right, well, I just want to say that we're not going to go through and call out and list who all's here today, but it is in your program. You'll see a list of all the providers that are there. Just to let you know that the tables didn't fit quite like I had hoped on that map, so they're in alphabetical order, and they still have the same table number, but they might not be in the same room, but I'm sure you guys can figure it out. All right, so we have this wonderful thing called the ASC Education Provider Directory. Now, what makes our directory so nice and so special is that it's online. So it's not a hard copy that you're going to have to thumb through or that would have to be updated every single year. Our directory is online, and so the providers log in and they're updating their content throughout the year. So they might add a new programming, or we might add new providers, and so we don't have to keep wasting papers. We're all about recycling and, well, reducing. I'm sorry, not recycling, but reducing at the ASC. So for our education provider directory, these are people who are artists, they are scientists, they're historians, or they do heritage sites. They're all vetted by a panel at the ASC that includes CMS staff, volunteers from the community, to make sure that these are people that we really would want to have in the classroom with the teachers and teaching our students. So there is a rigorous process that they go through, so we're not just picking random people off the street, which could be fun and interesting, but you know. Okay, so we also are launching a brand new website. So this asceducation.org, it probably won't be fully functional until November, but currently you can go to it to access the online directory. And I wanted to make sure that you were doing that so you get in the habit of going to our new website. So this is what it currently looks like, just to kind of coming soon. But if you go down and you scroll down to the bottom to the click here, then that'll bring up the directory. Can you guys hear me? Okay. All right, so as you can see, it's basically a search function. So everybody's in there on the back end, and you can search in several different ways. So the first way is if you already know somebody and you want to look at just their programming. So if you already know, for example, the Discovery Place is in our directory, then you can go to just this first part, the program provider, and you can go down, and that's an alphabetical list of everybody who's in the directory. So we could go to Discovery Place, we could click search, and then we're going to see all of Discovery Place's programs. So that's one way that you can search. And I should say that the way the search function works, all of our providers on the back end, they self-selected how they were going to appear in the search. So some of them did a really great job of that. Some of them I'm still working with them. So it may be that you wouldn't find somebody in a way that you might think that you would find them. So we're working on it. We're working on it. So you can keep it on any, and if you say, okay, you know, I really want to have a specific type of program. So that's our next thing. And, you know, we can do something that, you know, if they're available to be brought in after school, if they do mainly assemblies or performances, if you want to try and get most of your students in one room at a time to do something. We also do different things called residencies or workshops. Difference between those two is if it's a workshop, we consider that like they're with a room full of students for one day. They might see 5 different classes that day, but they only are in there for one class period. Versus a residency, we really want them to come and see the same students, you know, multiple times. We hope at least 5 lessons. It could be all in one week, or it could be they come, you know, twice a week for a month, or, you know, whatever. And then we also have day trips, which are when you take the students to the provider. So if you're going and taking them to Discovery Place, or if you're taking them to one of our historical sites. We also have things in here that are professional development for you guys. So if you want to decide that you want to use your school's grant money for professional development for teachers in your school, you know, that is more power to you, and you know, we see that as a great way that you can possibly affect even more students because you guys are enriching what you're doing. And we've also broken these down into different categories. So you can, you know, if you're just looking for something that is dealing with history, or if you're just looking for a performing art. So we can just real quick look at the history. Again, you can do search. And you're going to see a list of programs. Again, they were self-selecting if they thought they fit that category. So you may look at it and go, no, I don't really think that's not what I'm looking for. So just keep that in mind. You can also search by population served, and this is the one that's probably going to be the least effective for you at the moment. Some of them, like they only clicked, for example, that they serve K through 8, and they didn't go through and also select that they serve K 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So it's an option. It's a way to narrow it down. If you know that you just want something that's for pre-K, you can select pre-K, and it'll show you only programs that address those students. You can also search for multiple things at a time. So if you know you want an assembly that is serving kindergarten students and you want it to be science specific, you can put all those 3 things in there and it's going to narrow your searches. You can also search by different artistic disciplines. So you can see the different options here. You can do cultural origin, and we were thinking about this with a lot of schools that you do the multicultural night if you wanted to bring in a performance there, and you have something specific, if you wanted a Russian dance group, we have a couple of those, or something like that. We also have this great thing for price ranges if you are really shopping to a budget. Yeah. Now with this, I told the providers, because a lot of times providers will have a range of pricing. So they'll say, like, if they're doing one performance in the school for the day, it's $500, but if they're doing 2 back-to-back performances, then it's $400 each or something like that. So I told them to pick on their price range what their least expensive option is, and then when you go to their specific page, you can see that there are other options for you. You can also search if it's bilingual. Our advanced search options, these are kind of less fun, but if you want to know, if, for example, that they conduct criminal background checks on their staff, or if they provide lesson plans, you can check these things, and it'll pull only the programs where the providers have checked those things.
We will say that anyone who's in the directory has been checked.
Okay, so let's go into depth in just one program real quick, and I'm just going to pick one that I know has gone in there and done a really great job, and this is not to give that group any extra publicity or anything like that, but I just know that they've spent a lot of time and done a really great job. So we're going to look at transit vocal band. So again, I know who I'm looking for, so I can put them in there and do search. Where did they go?
They were there last
Yeah, they were there last night and this morning when I checked, of course. Interesting. Gotta love technology, right? Well, that one was going to be fun because they have a music clip and we were all going to get to dance to their music. But, well, I can see if maybe they'll come up in a different way. Let me check real quick. Bear with me for just a second.
They're upstairs.
They are upstairs. They are here. you can get a personal serenade from them a little bit later.
So what she's showing you an example of is you think you know the name of the person and you go in there and, whoa, what happened to them? But you tried a different way. They really are upstairs.
They really are upstairs, and they really are great. And all right, well, you know what? We're just gonna.
You're in the A's.
I know their program title. They do a history of acapello. So I was trying to see if maybe they were like under the acapello, but it must not be there. All right, well, we're going to do a history example. Let's look at Barbara Locklear. Okay, so you'll see that if they've chosen a main picture for their profile, you'll see that. This information right here at the top, all of this is their background on the actual individual artist or on the organization. So you'll see that there's main contact information for them. These, if you see these are links, so you can click it and it'll link right into whatever program you are using. If it's somebody that has multiple programs, you can look at all their different programs and choose one. Let's do make a rain stick. So again, the information at the top remains the same because it's still Barbara Locklear. So we go down, and this is where we're going to start to see the program description. And Barbara's great. She was a little wordy here. We've tried to ask people to keep it really small and simple for you so you can really quickly look at it and say, yeah, that's what I want to do, or that's not what I want to do. There's more information down here, so if you're scheduling and you want to book, if it's an individual artist, normally it's the same contact information, but for organizations, they'll normally have a different contact information for the main organization versus if you want to book that particular program. So you do need to pay attention that there might be different information there. And they might have somebody assigned to each program. Then you'll start to see the program details, and you'll see that, she says that this is multidisciplinary, this is a storytelling thing, and it also works with visual arts. And you can see how she's said which kinds of program types, the population she serves, the subject matter, and all that kind of great stuff. You'll also see if, this one, she wants to have about 25 students at a time. And she says that it's a 1-hour class and she'll do 3 different lessons. You'll see if there's any space or technical requirements. This is especially important for assemblies or performances. So if you'll need to know whether your venue, if you are using like a multi-purpose room, or if you have a stage, like if you actually have the equipment necessary to support that kind of programming coming into your school. This is probably the most important thing for you, the fees and ticketing. So that's where you're going to look to see if you have enough money left over in your grant allocation to bring this person in. Now, we are making all of our providers connect to the Common Core and to the essential standards. And I've asked all of them to put in the directory how they do that. It's been a little bit of a trying process. I'm sure you guys have struggled a little bit with the Common Core and the essential standards, and they have as well, but they're doing an excellent job.
Just imagine how many sessions you've had on the Common Core and Essential Standards, and we offered one session on each one. And if they didn't attend, they watched it digitized. So you know a lot more than they do. So, but they have, we have required it. They are not in there if they do not have. In fact, there are some folks, if you went in and you're not going to see it live right now because we want it absolutely perfect for you. And just know that you're coming to the table, you are licensed teachers. You're coming to the table knowing a lot more about Common Core and Essential Standards, and they want to work with you. So they're some of the most flexible people I've ever met.
Yeah, and we did this for a couple reasons. One, because it's important, obviously. Two, because it makes it easier for you as teachers. Is this something that's really going to help you in the classroom? Because these are, while a lot of these things are entertaining, they're supposed to be educational. So we want to make sure that we're meeting your needs. And that's one of the great things about the partnership between ASC and CMS. So with the Common Core, since a lot of our people are artists and performers, like they struggled a little bit, so we told them through Jamie Rogers, he came and did our presentation for them, that they really needed to think outside the box when they were thinking about these standards, and that, what is a text in their field. So a lot of times, if you're looking at what they wrote, like they stuck to the standards, and some of them put like parentheses afterwards. So like for this one, the W1, like she might have said, well, she does some writing. But like if it were a performance, for example, and they had a reading standard there, they would say, well, the students are learning how to read the performance, so that's their text. Okay, so just keep that in mind. I'm sure you guys are all experts at it now, right? And I asked them to pick 3. Some of them, they put 1, or some of them, like Barbara here, for the essential standards, she really went in there and read those, and she picked several for each grade level that she serves. So this is great for you. It might be a little information overload, but you can really go in there and see, okay, yeah, she's teaching all these different things, and that's going to be great for me when I bring her in. A lot of these teachers, a lot of these providers also are very flexible. If you look at their program and you say, wow, that program would be really great, I just wish that they connected to this. If you contact them, a lot of them are very flexible and are willing to tweak their programs however you need, because they want to be in the school, they want to be helping you. So they are very flexible. I would say, definitely reach out to them. They are great people. It's a pleasure to work with them every day, and I'm sure you'll feel the same way. And last, down at the bottom, they have different image galleries. Some of them have video links, which Transit's had a video link and we were going to jam, but some of them already have their supporting materials up here. So there's PDFs. Some of them have lesson plans already for you. Other ones, they want you to contact them for lesson plans and things like that. And you'll see their cancellation policies down here. And then also how, they're under the additional search, all those extra qualifications, those are listed right here as well for you to see. So that's what one page in the directory is going to look like for you, for each provider and for each program. Do we have any questions? No, we're not going to do questions yet. Sorry.
The reason we're spending a little extra time on the education provider directory is because this is your virtual marketplace. This is the most important piece of information we can share today. Everybody that's upstairs is in the directory, but not everybody that's in the directory is upstairs. I said that correctly?
You did.
So we are going to have a Q&A at the end. If you have burning questions, you might want to jot those down. We're going to now talk about how to spend some money. So what's on the screen up there is telling you the title of the page to which we are referring and the actual page number. We are really going to be going over the paperwork from this portion on. So you've seen the directory, you're excited about what's there. Let's say that you like Barbara Locklear and you want to book Barbara Locklear. On page 18, this is called the School ASC Grant Spending Plan. Very important instructions. You're going to complete this form for whomever you choose. You can have more than one provider. One of the reasons that we actually reached out and asked if we could partner with this conference today is because the $1,500 or the $2,000 your school is receiving may be seed money that the PTA, PTO, PTSA could help you with additional funds. If you are sitting here and you are a Title I school or a Project Lift school, you are going to have $2,000 to access. If you are a non-Title I and non-Project Lift school, you're going to have $1,500 to access. A great number of these you could spend your money. I mean, you'd have more than enough money. But if you need more than that, that's where we're like, it's great to be here today because your PTA, PTSO, PT can possibly help that. So you've chosen your provider. Notice bold, October 1st, 5 o'clock, you have to have submitted your request to us. Okay?
Make sure that you contacted the provider to determine the pricing and availability. Submit a check payable to ASC if your selected program exceeds your total grant. We're going to do some repetitive information today. I can tell you that right now. If you exceed your $1,500 or your $2,000, you're going to submit a check payable to ASC. ASC is the one who's writing the check to the providers. Okay? Now, when are we paying them? Number 4, know that we pay them when they complete the program and we get all our evaluation forms. You're going to be evaluating the provider, and the provider is going to be evaluating you, the school. So when the program is ended, and we have evaluations from you all, and we have evaluation from them, they get paid. So it's imperative that you evaluate them, and we'll talk more about that. 5, list CMS transportation as an additional provider. If you need to use buses to get your kids someplace, and that's how you're choosing to spend your money, we're paying for that. And then number 6, you're going to return it to us. We give you several ways to do it. You can email it to education@artsandScience.org, or you can fax it to us. Is that amazing?
I think so. Yeah, it's because
Well, I can't take my shirt off.
you guys didn't know you were getting a striptease this morning, right?
Okay. In the box? Sure. We provide more than one way for you to get this back to us. You can email it to us using that email address there, education@artsandscience.org, or you can fax it to us. If you choose to use the snail way, there's our mailing address. The snail way. So we have one of 3 ways. Or you know what, actually, you can have a 4th way, you can hand deliver it.
Because you know you want to see my smiling face some more.
School information in the box. Who are you? Who's your rep? Your contact information, your email. What's your grant amount that you received from us? What's the total cost? So whatever the total cost is, whatever it is, whether it's within your allocation or outside of your allocation, what's the total cost? And then you write down what's your responsibility. So if you exceed the $1,500 or you exceed the $2,000, what are you responsible for? Okay, on the back. Page 19, this is where you actually complete who's the provider. If you're booking one person, you'll only see one provider. If you're going to children's theater and you're going to get on a bus, and you have 2 providers, because you have the children's theater as a provider, and then you have a bus, CMS Transportation, as a provider. And you can see that you put the type, and they'll tell you which of those that you are in parentheses there, and then when are they coming, and then what is the cost. And then if you exceed your allocation, what do? Send a check. Wow, I didn't see. Told you, okay. If for some reason you use more than 5 providers, which you are certainly entitled to, please spend on, just make another copy. And all of this is electronic, so that you can do more.
So now, if you look at page 20,
I told you, now, see, this is my 28th year in education, and I know how to do it, and so you always provide a sample, right? Show our students examples. So on page 20 and 21, you will see an example where ASC Education Middle School booked Jane Doe for $2,000, and the total cost was $21.25. So the school was responsible for how much? $125. So what did they do? They wrote a check and put it in the envelope and mail it or hand deliver it. You guys have A's. On page 21, who did the ASC Education Middle School book? We booked Mel's Archaeological Adventures for digging Roman archaeology, and it's going to be a residency for a week.
Yeah.
And then we went to Catherine's Star Movement Studio for some innovative movement performance on January 25th. And then you booked me to do orienteering through literacy and the arts. That's a day trip in May, perfect trip to do in May, and only cost $250.
She's
And
cheap.
To get to me, to do the day trip, it cost $200. So we booked 4 people to spend how much money? $2,000 in Candy Dome.
wow, that's fun.
It's a week, and it's a residency. Residencies do tend to be more expensive, but I'm worth it.
She is. She is absolutely worth it. I can attest to that.
And so can Ken and Lisa here. They know. They know.
And we're moving. I'm already past that spending. I'm on a contract. I'm on a contract. Right? So now we have booked all these people. We've filled out the information. We've done the spending plan. The spending plan has 2 sides. On one side is who are you, and on the other side, who are the people that you booked, right? Now we turn to the contract. See how important that you're here today? Because you're in charge of this. All right, time to fill out a contract. What you do is you simply on the contract on page 22, you are going to write in the blanks. You're going to fill the blanks in, which is why this is beautifully electronic, and you just type it in and it moves with you. And you're going to say what day it is that you're actually sitting down and you're booking it. And so like if it's October 1, you're going to put in October 7th, if it's October 7th.
Yeah.
Okay, now, the providers in independent contractor, they are not our employees. Be very clear there, they are not our employees. We have put our stamp of approval on them, we help these chief set of community members, our team, and CMS curriculum specialists. That's right, CMS curriculum specialists helped us select these folks. They're not an employee, and then you simply take the information off the spending plan backside and you plug it in. The provider's going to conduct what? A residency, performance, whatever. You put the title in there, when they're coming, what time they're coming, what your school is, how many students are going to have that experience, and then what grades are going to be there. So if it's 200 students in grade 2nd, you fill that in the blank. Note below that, if the program is a residency or a workshop, the following are teachers and their subjects taught. So if you book Mills Archaeological Experience, you're going to list the teachers who are going to experience that archaeological residency, and then what do they teach. And C, you take off that same back page of the spending plan where you list the provider, amount due the provider from ASC, what's the total fee? Whatever you put in that blank, we're going to cut the check for that, and then subtract the amount that we're supplying and then how much you're paying. And it should all add up to you. Let's see, D, please read that about the regulations pertaining to the equipment. If they're going to use anything there, they're obtaining permission from the principal prior to it. E, at least 2 weeks before his or her program, the provider is to send you, at least how many weeks before? 2. At least 2 weeks before that provider is coming to you, they should be sending you a copy of their educational materials. Next, page 23. The provider is going to utilize the services that who recommends? You recommend. You are the ASC Arts Representative. Okay? NASCAR, And NASCAR is upstairs.
NASCAR is upstairs.
NASCAR is upstairs. Okay, F. They're going to have all their questions answered. G, the provider will check with who? You. 1 week. How soon? 1 week prior to the program to confirm. Okay, so a week before they come, it's on you to make sure they're still coming, they remember they're coming, they know where they're coming, and they've sent their materials, and everything's cooked up. H, they're going to provide their own transportation. If they're coming from out of state or hours away, it's all on them to get their accommodations paid for that. You don't do anything with their travel expenses or anything like that. I, they cannot, get any monies unless they approve it with the principal, which we're, hopefully we're not going to do that. Keep it simple. Notice that J is bold. J is bold, which signifies it is important that a school employee will be in a classroom or other space where students are located at all times if that person is there. And we'll talk about that more repeatedly there. So somebody at your school has to be with that provider at all times. Yes, they have a background check. That's not the point. But it's just, they are not, they're there to serve you. You are the licensed folks. Okay? K goes down, and I'm definitely not going to read all this. It talks about, acts of God, bad weather, power failure, etc. Bottom line, and I want you to read these on your own specifically, but the bottom line is that if an act of God comes and it has to get canceled, what we want you to do is, it's on you in this contract. The contract binds you to do everything in your power to go ahead and make alternate arrangements. Because these are artists, scientists, historians, this is their living. Just like you have your check coming in, they're counting on this. So it's on you to try to reschedule them. If you do not reschedule them, it tells you here that if it cannot be rescheduled due to your unwillingness to provide or agree to an alternate date, and it may happen that way, okay? It just may happen that way. We're not saying you're bad people. It just doesn't fit in. They're supposed to come in May, and there's no other time that it can happen, right? Then there is a cancellation fee. There is a policy, and they'll have it on the education provider directory. And you agree, and you write it in there. What is that? Is it $200? You guarantee that $200 is going to be paid to them. And who pays it? The school pays it. The school pays it because you're the one saying that you can't book them. Okay? And they're not doing really big cancellation fees, but they just have to cover. And hopefully that doesn't happen.
And a lot of them don't, it's hit or miss. Some of them don't have any cancellation fees at all, so.
Yeah. And then L talks about it. Social Security, again, it talks about they are independent contractors. M, here's a credit statement. And everybody shout out to Krista Terrell. Krista, wave your hand. Everybody look back there. Hey, Krista. Krista is our PR. She's our VP of PR and Communications. And she takes care of all of our branding and makes sure that we take care of all of that. So, in honor of Krista, she thinks I'm crazy, there is a credit statement that you must include in all public announcements, news releases, promotional literature, programs, posters, flyers, etc. And it comes over on page 24. This program is supported by funding from the Arts and Science Council of Charlotte-Mecklenburg. Okay. And the reason that's so important is because it's not ASC, like, how we have the money to support this, how we have the $305,000 to hand out to schools is because the generosity of public and private funders who they say education is top priority, and they are giving the money to us. So we want to give credit, and how we do that is through ASC. And you're also going to be hearing something new and exciting about your fund drive, which is today's not about the fund drive, but you'll be excited to know that your dollars will return to you. So that's some exciting. Okay, the provider is going to submit to us an evaluation of the school within 10 days of the program. And then O, the school, you, will submit it to us on them. So you're the rep. You didn't see the program. So you're collecting the evaluations and making sure that those get to us how quickly after the program? Within 10 days. So within 10 days, that provider knows that he or she is being paid. because by then you've given us evaluation, they've given us evaluation, we know the program's complete, and we cut the check. And then P, ASC agrees to hold them harmless during the time of this agreement, and you can read about that. And then Q, this constitutes a complete entire agreement between the provider, you, and us. And the laws of North Carolina govern this contract. And then people sign it. You read it, the provider signs it, the principal signs it, you sign it, and I sign it. I'll review that. The provider signs it, your principal signs it, you sign it, and I sign it. And because we are doing what we do, we provide a sample for you. I will not go over the sample.
Did it get darker?
I'm trying to get a book for an audition. It's not what school they are. It's not good, Nathan. Woo! Okay, so pages 25, 26, 27 show where we have booked Cindy, Lou, and Ryan Who.
No. You booked me. You booked me for Cindy, Lou, and Ryan Who.
Oh, I booked you and Barbara Ann and Kat. Oh, that's right. They booked us for Cindy, Lou, and Ryan Who. Okay. Now, when you go to look at that sample contract, know that Microsoft Word had its way, and for some reason, and we didn't see it till after we'd gone to publication, that the numbers got off there, but it's okay.
Is somebody leaning up against the lights back there, maybe?
Somebody leaning up against the lights up there. Libby, are you causing trouble, Libby?
We're not making anything. We're trying.
Because we are, by the way, we are recording this. Oh God, I'm embarrassed now. I've done a dance. And... Oh, there should be a hush right now.
Is this all online?
This is going to be all online because we are digitizing everything.
Yeah, you could mark on this all you want.
Mark
all you want.
It's digitized. And we're being recorded. Why? Because if somebody can't, even though we have 113 people in here, I'll take that back, we have 114 people in here right now. How many schools do we have? 159. So we're missing some folks, so we're going to take this rapid with the ASC branding and then it'll be digitized. 2 reasons: the people who are not able to be here will be able to watch it in all of its glory. And secondly, if you just are like, man, that was so much fun, I've got to see it again, you get to access it again. We are here for you, absolutely. So, hi, want to give a shout out? Can we give a shout out? Oh. Well, just know that they took us 15 minutes over, so we are finished in 25 minutes. That's our time.
Gotta love artists.
The providers are, they want to see you because they're here for you. Okay, so I'm stepping off now, handing her, and she's going to take up a welcome letter.
Okay, so one of your roles as the representative is also to, be nice, welcome the provider, let them know any pertinent information that they need to know about your school. So again, in your manual on page 28, we just have a sample letter here. You're more than welcome to use this. You can use something completely different if you want. But just to let them know about, remind them of the date of the program, the times, who will meet them. Where at the school you'll meet them, where at the school they'll be setting up, anything that you're going to be providing, and anything that you're expecting them to provide. So again, that's a sample form letter. You can always copy and paste it and put it on your school's letterhead if you want. Or you can write your own if you think that there's other things that you would rather have in there. And on page 29, there's a sample, again, where you are welcoming probably me, but I don't think it doesn't even matter. You don't even have to say their name if you don't want to. You can just say Dear Provider, or you can be nice and say Dear Mel. But, all right, so we're just going to move along real quickly. I'm also going to tell you about the evaluation forms. These are also both in your manual on page 30. So this one is the evaluation form that you're going to be doing of the provider. It's a really simple form you'll see there. We're not asking for a whole lot of really difficult information. You just get to circle from 1 to 5 on a couple of different questions. There is a space at the bottom on number 15 if you want to give additional comments or feedback. We do ask for your honest opinions on this because, you know, while we do come out to the schools and do evaluations as well, like we obviously can't see everything. So we want to know what's going on. So we do, you know, we don't want to, you know, if you think there's a problem with something, which we hope there won't be, but if you think there is, we want to know about it. And again, you know, this is also available electronically, and it's also a SurveyMonkey, and that SurveyMonkey link is already functional in there, so you can access that and submit it that way anytime you want. And you can also send that to any of the teachers involved. So if you're doing an assembly and performance and all of your school's teachers were there, you can send them the link and they can all fill it out, good to go. And at the same time, it is confidential. We're not going to share that with the provider and say, oh, well, you know, Ken said that you did a really poor job. We're not going to do that. It's confidential information for us, just because you were talking and not paying attention. And then just for the, you know, for complete transparency, we also want you to see how the provider is evaluating you. And it's just main little things, just, you know, were they able to get in contact with you and get the information that they needed? Was the space like it was supposed to be? You know, how was the student behavior? Because again, they're not substitute teachers. You guys or the classroom teacher is supposed to remain with the program and help with the behavior, because you know they're not trained in the same way that you are. So they're just it's a quick little evaluation form, nothing major. Alrighty.
Okay.
10 days after.
Right on, yes. When's the due back? 10 days. There's due back from the providers, due back from you. What I want you to do right now, real quick, like that. Pop up real quick. Pop up, pop up, pop up. Okay, shake a left leg, shake a right leg. Okay? We're about to do what any good teacher does. We have finished the lesson and we're going to review. Alright, so now you can sit back down. We're right on schedule. We have 20 minutes, which does include Q&A and door prize, the grand prize. We are handing out the grand prize, and you have to be here to get the grand prize.
Do you guys know what the grand prize is?
Are you kidding me? That's why we're here today. $1,000. Kudos to one school. That school will not be named, but there was a school who wanted to send multiple people, thinking that they wanted to know they could send multiple people to increase their chances. But I just want you to know that for the sake of parity, there's only one entry per school. Okay? Love it. Okay. And Mel and I are not going to read this step-by-step guide to you. We are beginning on page 10, and this is a review. This is very important. This is a review. What I want you to do is take your pen or your pencil or your marker, and when you get to the room thing and you start booking people, and you have a check blank there, but today just feel free to put a check over your number from the one to the check. We're going to go through this, and again, we're going to ping-pong it, and we're not reading it verbatim. First thing is, guess what you're doing? You're coming here. Hey, you're already here. Check. And what I want you to do is when I say check, you're going to say check. Check? Check. Number 2, you're going to collaborate with teachers at your school. You're going to introduce yourself to your PTA person. You're going to decide what the best program is for your school. And if you need more than you're allotted, you're going to convince that PTA, PTSO, PTO person to help you out with the money. Check? Check. Check. No.
All right, then you're going to look through the education provider directory and decide who you want to book. And then you're going to contact that provider and make sure that, you know, you guys can meet up on the same dates and times and everything's good to go there. Yep.
When is it due?
Oh.
Nothing's due. You cannot, your program start what day? October, yeah. You cannot start before Monday, October 15th.
And they can end on May 31st.
Okay.
Check.
Number 4, you've booked and you decided what you're doing, so what are you doing? You're going to return your spending plan to us on or before 5 p.m. on October 1st. If you go over your allotted amount, you're going to include a what? Check. And 1 week later, by the 8th, we're going to confirm, because we provide quality customer service. We will send you an email and we will say, we have received your information, you are confirmed. Check? Check. Number 5, you're going to complete contracts for every provider. If you use 3 providers, how many contracts? 3. Check. You're almost there. You're going to, this is important because we didn't say this yet, okay? You're going to complete the contract and you're going to make 3 copies of the contract. How many copies of the contract? 3. And you're going to put all 3 copies in an envelope, including a self-addressed envelope back to yourself, because 3 copies of the contract. 1 for your school, 1 for the provider, and 1 for ASC. We need 3 legal documents. And it goes to the provider signs, because your principal's already signed, you've already signed, correct? So now the provider needs to sign all 3. The provider sends you your copy back because that provider is using the self-addressed envelope that you put in the envelope, right? And they're going to send one to us. So by the time that's all said and done, you have a copy of the contract, the provider has a copy of the contract, we have a copy of the contract. There's not always going back and forth. And you're going to do this, and I haven't finished one yet. To book our providers, you must use this contract. If you book somebody that's not an ASC, if they are not ASC grant funded provider, then you do whatever you do with your paperwork. But if you're using someone on this directory, you're using our contract. Do not allow a provider, I'm on page 11, do not allow a provider into your school until you receive your contract back. Now, I am going to take a check and then I'm going to answer the question. Check? Check. Question on that? Yes.
If you have different providers, do you mail them all separately, or do you put all of the providers for all the programs in one building?
Every provider you book is an independent contractor, so every provider you have to do 3 copies of the contract. So
Can you send like 6 contracts in one?
No, because you're sending that to the provider.
You send it to the provider, which is where it's going. So if you're booking Barbara Locklear, then Barbara Locklear gets 3 copies of the contract. If you're in addition, you're booking
Me.
Transit Band, you're sending them 3 copies of the contract. Every provider gets a contract, 3 copies.
If the provider is sending the contract back to us and to you, how do we get your signature on our copy?
I will send you an electronic version.
We love it.
Then do we provide that electronic copy to the provider?
No.
No, we don't need ours?
Ours is like, we'll have the copy that's perfect. We'll have the copy that's perfect. And I'll upload, we have a separate granting software system that the providers are going to be accessing, and that'll be in part of their thing.
Don't you worry about a thing, everybody. You're going to have the signed contract back, and it's going to be legally binding. We got, okay? Great questions.
Can the contract be faxed and also handed?
Yes.
She said yes. As long as we get our contract, as long as you send that provider 3 copies, you know, we're telling them, you're putting a self-addressed envelope in there for them to send it back to you, your copies. So that's going to come. You're not going to get a fax. They're going to put in an envelope. This is all in writing. They're going to follow this. And they're going to mail us ours, so I don't know where a fax would come in.
In case something happens.
Something would happen. Yeah.
Nothing ever happens.
3 copies of the contract, goes to the provider, in that envelope is going to be the self-addressed envelope coming back to you. There's no fax involved. We want ours back. And we're telling them to mail it to us. So between them and us, don't worry about it.
Does ASC have to approve non-providers?
No. Great question. We are only approving the people that you take out of the directory. If they're approved, the fact that they're in there, the fact they're in the directory and you use them, they're approved.
But just,
If you use anybody outside of the directory, that's,
yeah.
but if you're using our $1,500 or our $2,000, you have to spend it on people in the directory. Okay? If you're using any of the grant money we're giving you, you have to use people in the directory.
Is this list complete?
That list is who is upstairs. Great question. The list of vendors in your program are the vendors who are upstairs, but they're going to be almost double that number total in the directory. Contract question?
Yes, it's regarding CMS transportation. The field trips I've done in the past, you can guesstimate how much the bus expense will be, but you don't know until after the fact usually how much it is.
Right.
Will they be able to give us an upfront?
Yes, you're going to have it because it's going on your bottom line.
That's what, because I don't know about.
We have a relationship, I don't know about your past, but it's a new day because the ASC has an education team.
I would say for the transportation, just overestimate a little bit, round it up a little bit, and because the chances that you would, and, maybe that your total expenditure, if you're a $2,000 school, that you maybe get it to like $1,950, and then there's that $50 wiggle room or whatever.
Okay, we have 12 minutes left. Mel, it's on you, number 6.
Yep. So again, the contracts from the providers are due to us by November 31st? 30th? And that's very important because we have to we have to be aware of how much funds have been spent. So if you have not received your contract back from the provider, I'd say a couple weeks before that, you need to contact them, because if they don't get us the contracts, then we're assuming your school is not using your money. Yeah, that's why it's important. That's important for you to be following up with the providers to make sure that they get them back. And trust me, they want the money just as much as you want to spend the money. So.
Okay, I just heard the level of attention go up about 10 decibels. That's correct. If we do not have contract staff by November 30th, we're assuming you're not spending your money. Therefore, your money is no longer your money, and it's going into a pot for us to do other things with.
Can we have it?
Okay, so everybody understood check? Check. And 7.
Wait. Oh yeah. Okay. Yep, we're fine. Okay, so also make sure when you're booking these that you're making sure that it's on the calendar and that other people in the school are aware of these things happening, because we've had instances in the past where someone's gone in for a residency or a workshop and the teachers have no idea that they're supposed to be there because the contact person at the school did not transfer that information on to everybody who needed it. So just be cognizant of that and make sure it's on the calendars and everybody knows.
Check. Educational journey, you can hit the link. Okay, number 8, we're going to show you educational journey in case you've never booked a trip. If you've never booked a trip before, we're going to tell you how to do this. Of course, you sign into the intranet and you get to the educational journey. We're going to, first off, you have to include the transportation as a provider on your spending plan. Notice underline, read on page 11, underline. This must be, you're going to submit a request. This must be submitted in the system at least 3 weeks before the trip date. We suggest you book that bus or those buses as soon as you know you have a contract. We suggest as soon as you're doing all this, you're booking it and then you're like putting the bow on it, okay? Do not wait. So now we're at the web applications. Stay with us. Web applications, go over to educational journey. Educational journey comes up. This is a non-required trip. You're going to fill out your information. This is very important right here. Notice what she's doing. Your funding source or budget code is ASC grant. Your budget code is ASC grant. Then, once your request has been submitted, let your principal and zone office know what your trip number is. I'm now at the bottom part of that paragraph. This program will give you a trip number. You tell your principal and zone folks that you have a trip number waiting, it's pending, needing their approval. And then last, you can check the status by using this trip number and the trip lookup link in the menu. And it tells you how to get there. It's all there. We've walked through it, we've typed it as we walk through it, it's accurate. Okay, so as soon as you book it, as soon as you get that trip number, let your principal zone office know you're waiting so that they hit approved, and then you're good to go. Check? Check. Mel has 9, 10, 11, and 12. She's going to go quickly.
This is just, again, double checking with the provider. Check with them 2 weeks prior to the event. Make sure you have any materials that they have for you guys, lesson plans. Make sure that's distributed to the teachers that need them.
Check? Check.
Again, double check 1 week before.
Check.
Make sure that you or you've assigned somebody to be responsible for meeting them, and that's the same person that you sent them on the welcome letter.
Check.
Make sure, again, all teachers are present. They are not substitute teachers.
Check.
And this is very important. If you have booked them, we encourage you to use our education provider directory for booking outside of this grant program. But if you've done so and it's not through the grant process, you need to have the check ready to pay the provider. So either from the PTA or whoever, but there needs to be, if it's not part of the grant program and you've booked any of these providers separately, make sure you have your check on hand to pay them.
Check. Okay, I'm gonna take 14, you took 14.
Oh, sorry.
Do not forget, you've got to give credit to and say this program is supported by funding from the Arts and Science Council, Shaw-Mecklenburg. Check? Check. If you're gonna put any logos, we give you the website address, exact URL where you go to, where you can get our nice colorful logo and pop it on your, wherever you're going to advertise. Last, check? Check. And last one, no.
Oh, sorry.
15, you're going to do it?
Yeah, do it, yeah.
Required evaluation. How many days from the event? Are you saying 10? The provider does it within 10, you do it within 10. And then there's a survey link there at the bottom where you can do it online. Check? Yes.
There are a few additional steps if you're doing a residency. That's on page 13. Yeah. You want to take it?
Just read it.
So again, the biggest difference here is that the providers often want to, and we encourage and we really require them to have contact with their classroom teacher prior to them coming in. This can happen through Skype, through telephone calls, through email, however, but just make sure that the provider and the teachers that are involved in the residency have hooked up and have each other's contact information.
Okay, and go to page 2. Actually, you're doing the appendix. Draw your attention to the appendix.
The appendix starts on page 15, and this is just all of these documents that we've been looking at. There's also on that page 15, there's an explanation of each of these documents for you to review. And it also tells you which documents have the expandable fields that you can type directly into, and it'll move.
Then we even include a nice little glossary. Okay, page 2. We're moments away from the Q&A, which means moments away from the door prize. Okay, check. Okay, number 2, page 2, we're going over the calendar. This is very important. We didn't do one.
Sorry.
We're here today. What day is the school spending plan due?
October 1st, 5 o'clock.
5 o'clock. You submitted these by 5 o'clock on the 1st. If you go over your money, what do you do? Okay, by October 15th, what happens? We can start playing. October 15th to May 31st, you can have any of these things going on. And don't forget, by the 1st, you've sent the plans. By the 8th, you're going to get a happy confirmation email from us because we provide high-quality customer service. By November 30th, all contracts should be in because come December 1st, we know if we have any money left over, okay, to reallocate to other things. Okay, May 31st, all programs end. And then by June 15th, when you're saying bye-bye to school year 2012-2013 and opening the summer doors, all evaluation forms must be completed and returned to us. Okay, now, we recognize that we've asked some questions. The 2 most important things, about how to access these people was the directory and then how to do the contract and spending plans. If you were to go back and look at my code, my no understand to be able to do, it's we check. Trust me, I know we have. All right? Now, questions and answers, because the folks went over on us. I still would like to, I know those folks upstairs are really anxious. So Q&A, we'll take about a minute or 2 of Q&A, and past that, we are going to be out there hanging around answering questions. In fact, we'll be on the 9th floor answering your individual questions. We are here till 4 o'clock a day. Okay, because we want to get to the grand prize. So I'll take a couple of questions.
Have all the people in the provider directory been in schools in CMS?
No, some of them are new.
Okay.
Some of them are new, and some of them have done a lot of work in Raleigh or Guilford County, etc.
So they will have to do the CMS volunteer forms, I think.
Yeah.
Is that what you're asking?
Sort of.
No, she just.
Okay.
There's so many, how do you choose? Is there any guideline that you can give us?
I mean, choose what I would really do is, however your individual school, whoever the players are, your department chairs, however your school has a culture to decide, okay, sit down and decision makers sit down and say, okay, this is how much money we have.
And what are our goals? What's lining up with our school improvement plan, or what's lining up with our strategic plan 2014? What is lining up? You know, be mindful that if you're in elementary school, all third graders are going to historic sites. They have a field trip paid for through ASC. Check. Fifth graders doing a brand new field trip this year. They're seeing the symphony, the opera, and the dance all in one fell swoop. So the fifth graders are getting something. The Terradiddle players are making their way around in the K-5 schools. Our seventh graders are brand new field trip. The seventh graders are all going to the Becker, the Mint, and the Gant on the same day. Our sixth graders are going to Discovery Place. So think of, I want you to know that, so as you're deciding how we're going to spend our money, you know, spread the wealth. One more question, and then we're going to do prizes.
I just want to add too that that's part of the reason why we're having the fair today, so that you can talk to the 50 providers that are here, and you can get to know them and see a little bit more in depth about how they may fit what your school would need.
Precisely.
And these digital forms are found on ASC Education.org.
You are good. Yes, these forms are found on ASCeducation.org.
They're not there yet, but they will be there early next week. Next week.
Monday.
I'm not going to be at work on Monday.
Okay. She's not at work on Monday. She's been, yes, she is on sleep deprivation getting ready for this and getting all the providers in there, so don't contact her on Monday.
Tuesday.
Tuesday. Okay, where's our,
I just check. I want to let you know about the door prizes. We have wonderful door prizes that range from CDs, and these were all donated by the providers who are upstairs on the 9th floor.
46 prizes.
All right. And they range from like their personal CDs, like we have several musicians, all the way to 2 free tickets to Cirque Dreams and 2 free tickets to Traces. So we really have a wide variety. We're not going to sit here and call out who's won all these things. Wait. When you go up when you go up to the 9th floor, there's going to be a list of ticket numbers. You'll look and see if your ticket number matches. If it does, walk into room 906. Nick will be there to hand you your voucher. You will then take your voucher to that table so that you can meet that provider one-on-one and say, thank you so much for giving me this wonderful door prize, and learn more about their programming.
Okay. As an educator, I'm going to repeat those instructions one more time. We're going to be drawing numbers, and those numbers will be listed on the flip chart outside room
906.
And if you see your number, enter the room, meet Nick. Nick will give you your prize. You will then go into one of the rooms with your voucher. You'll go into the rooms and meet these folks and say, thank you so much for my prize. Got it? Yes. Okay, drum roll, please! Winning number for the grand prize today, which means you have an additional $1,000, is 8, 8, 6, 3, 6, 5.
Which school are you from? Which school won?
What school?
River Oaks Academy.
Thank you so much for attention. Most importantly, absolutely most importantly, as a fellow educator, this is year 28 for me. Thank you for everything you're doing for students in CMS. We love you. We're here to support you. You are the reason we're doing what we're doing every day. So we'll see you